UCI, the Unity Coalition for Israel, presents Part 1 of A Celebration of Jerusalem Day. UCI CEO and founder Esther Levins recently spoke with the governor of Kansas, the Honorable Sam Brownback. He shared his feelings about Jerusalem with us and offered his thoughts on the importance of the city and the celebration.
In the summer of 1980, the Israeli parliament declared the city of Jerusalem to be the undivided, eternal capital of the state of Israel. It was established by King David almost 3,000 years earlier. Protest resounded across the international spectrum, resulting in the closure of 13 national embassies in Jerusalem. All of them, including the United States Embassy, moved to Tel Aviv. Two Kansas senators, Bob Dole and Sam Brownback, have taken the lead in moving the U.S. Embassy back to Jerusalem. In 1995, the Jerusalem Embassy Act was first publicly announced at a Unity Coalition for Israel conference on Capitol Hill. Senator Dole, as sponsor, made the announcement that the Embassy Act had just passed both houses almost unanimously. It was an exciting moment. For 15 years, the enactment of this public law has continued to be rejected by successive presidents, both Democrat and Republican, in defiance of the wishes of the American people. Last year, Senator Brownback, now governor of Kansas, initiated a bill in the Senate to remove the presidential waiver loophole. More recently, in 2011, Congressman Dan Burton has introduced H.R. 1006 to eliminate the waiver and bring the bill to its final passage. We are now expecting a companion bill in the Senate. We have with us Governor Sam Brownback, and thank you for joining us today. Please share with us your thoughts regarding Jerusalem and the move of our embassy to its rightful location in Israel's capital city, Jerusalem.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this and talking about and celebrating Jerusalem Day. This is a critically important day. It is important to the Jewish people. It's important to people around the world. 44 years ago, the city of Jerusalem was reunified. We are celebrating that, but we're also celebrating 3,000 years of Jews living in Jerusalem, but being the center of their faith. I'm just here to talk about and to celebrate that aspect of it and also to ask your help. I look forward to seeing the day when Jerusalem is recognized by the world as the undivided capital of Israel, and the United States has our embassy in Jerusalem where it ought to be, and where our embassy is located everywhere else in the world, which is in the capital city of that nation. That's what we should push for. That's what needs to take place. That's the purpose behind H.R. 1006. What this does, it amends the Jerusalem Embassy Act of 1995 to eliminate the president's ability to waive automatic funding cuts for states' acquisition and maintenance of buildings for state departments around the world until the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem is officially opened in Jerusalem. Now, as all of you know, the United States Embassy in Israel is in Tel Aviv. It's not in Jerusalem. It is the only country in the world where our embassy is not in the capital city. I think that's a shame. I think it's wrong. I think it's something that shouldn't continue. And so what we're doing simply by this act is saying no longer can the president waive the will of Congress to move the embassy to Jerusalem. That if the president doesn't move the embassy, then funds are cut off for buildings and maintenance of other State Department facilities around the world. It's a tool, a tough tool, for us to force the State Department, the administration, to do what the American people want done, which is to have our embassy in Jerusalem, to do what we should do, which is to have our embassy in the capital city. Now, a number of people look at it and say, okay, this is going to really spark a lot of protest around the world, but I look at it as it's the right thing to do. And it's also, I think, a good way for us to discuss what Jerusalem is. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. It has been the Jewish capital for 3,000 years. It is something that we should recognize and honor, and it is a debate worth having. And it may provoke some excited discussion in many places around the world, but why not start that discussion? If we are having discussions about a two-state solution in Israel, why not discuss the capital of Israel, which is Jerusalem? And we can't stop until that takes place, and the sooner the better. I want to urge people to call their legislator, their congressman, and ask them to sign on to H.R. 1006 to support it, to become actively supportive of it, and urge them that this is an important policy statement for the United States to make, and it's an important move for us to do. As I said, Jerusalem's the only city in the world that's a capital city of a nation that we have relations with, that we don't have an embassy in. Israel is one of the key allies of the United States, and we certainly, for such a good friend as Israel, should have our embassy in the capital. I've been to Jerusalem 5 times, have loved it. It's an incredible place. There's no place like it in the world. It is such a critical place in the meeting of cultures, and the Israeli people do such a good job of keeping it up and keeping it open to people that want to come in peace and visit and worship however they choose. And it's time. I think particularly now it is time. This issue's come up off and on for many years. But as we get further down the road in the discussion of sort of two-state type of solutions, I certainly think we ought to be bringing up the discussion of Jerusalem, and this would do it. And this is something that the United States has in their sole power to do, is to move our embassy to Jerusalem. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your joining in the celebration of Jerusalem Day. It's an exciting day when we look at the history of Jerusalem, an incredible city, a city like no other in the world, and I commend you and encourage your further celebration of this by pushing for the embassy to be moved. Thanks so much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Governor Sam Brownback. Let's pursue this and hope that many of our listeners join with us in this wonderful endeavor to bring the capital alive in Jerusalem. Thank you so much. We want to have a groundbreaking service, and I hope you'll be there with us to celebrate.
Since 1991, the Unity Coalition for Israel, UCI, has educated and motivated millions of people around the world to action in support of Israel. UCI is an alliance of Christian and Jewish organizations and individuals working together to ensure the sovereignty, safety, and security of Israel, America's only reliable democratic ally in the Middle East.
We want our listeners to participate by going to uc4i.org/move.